Welcome to SATV News. This is Nuri Alamin with the headlines. A leader with the light of honesty in heart doesn't need a safe exit, said Rizvi. Germany sees Bangladesh as promising investment hub, said Khosrow. Bicameral parliament not realistic considering Bangladesh political culture, said CPD. Calls for scrapping upper house plan. Warrants against Sheikh Hasina and others sent to IGP, 12 officers. Now in details. If a leader has the light of honesty in his heart, he doesn't need a safe exit even after 1,000 complaints, said BNP Senior Joint Secretary General Ruhul Kabir Rizvi. He also made the remark while providing financial assistance to an elderly couple in Nilphamari today. He also said that Khaleda Zia never needed a safe exit, adding that his party talked about safe exit during Sheikh Hasina tenure. The BNP leader further said billions of taka were laundered abroad under the guise of various projects during Sheikh Hasina's reign. BNP Standing Committee member Amir Khosrow Mohammad Chaudhary on Thursday said the party doesn't worry about whose house the diplomats will meet at. Meeting someone doesn't change anything in politics. What is important is to restore democratic order in the Bangladesh of the future. He also said the bigger question is what the people of Bangladesh want. Political parties must move beyond politics of obstruction and be allowed to work independently, he also added. The BNP leader made the remark while briefing journalists after Dr. Rodrigo Lotz, the newly appointed ambassador of Germany, paid a courtesy visit to BNP Secretary General Mirza Fakhrul Islam Alamgir at the office of the party's chairperson in Gulshan. Drawing on experiences from other countries, the Center of Policy Dialogue today suggested that the interim government's National Consensus Commission dropped the proposal of a bicameral parliament, saying it is not realistic considering the Bangladesh political culture. To strengthen parliamentary accountability and democratic institutions in Bangladesh, CPD instead recommended that existing uncameral parliament be made stronger through legal, institutional and structural reform. CPD at its national dialogue title, Can the Proposed Upper House Ensure Accountability of the Majority Party in the National Parliament? The disseminated recent research finding on parliamentary reform and accountability. The research findings were presented by Khandekar Ghulam Moazzam, Research Director at CPG, and Professor Nizam Ahmed of Chittagong University Department of Public Administration at Intercontinental Dhaka. According to CPG analysis, several proposed constitutional and electoral reform, such as a bicameral parliament, proportional representation, inclusion of non-partisan individual, or formation of appointment committee may sound attractive in principle but are not practical in Bangladesh political context. Ganatantra Mancha Alliance today announced its first list of 140 candidates for the upcoming national election, declaring its intention of contest of all 30 parliamentary constituencies. The announcement was made at the press conference held at Dhaka Reporter Unity Auditorium in this morning. Azad Qasim, the Alliance coordinator and chief coordinator of the Rashtra Sanskar Andolon, presented the list. Several top leaders from the Alliance 6-member party are among the candidates, including the Mahmudur Rahman Manna, president of Nagorik Oiko, Shaiful Haq, general secretary of the Voluntary Worker Party, the Sheikh Rafiqul Islam Babul, chairman of the Vashani Jharkhand Party, and the Qayyum said the 6 aligned organizations have agreed to contest the election jointly and are discussion with other political parties and may join the alliance. The Advisory Council today gave final and in-principle approval to drafts of 4 ordinances and 1 proposal with Chief Advisor Professor Mohammad Yunus in the chair at his office there. At the meeting, the Advisory Council approved the draft of the National Data Governance Ordinance 2025, the Personal Data Protection Ordinance 2025, the Deposit Protection Ordinance 2025, and the Mymensingh Unnayan Kotripokho Ordinance 2025. And the Council also approved a proposal placed by the Finance Ministry to establish a bank merging 5 Sharia-based Islamic banks through a resolution. The International Crimes Tribunal has sent arrest warrants for 30 individuals, including ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, in 2 enforced disappearance cases to the Inspector General of Police. The warrant have also been forwarded to 12 relevant departments, and the Register Office of the ICT confirmed the information of this morning. Speaking on the matter, Chief Prosecutor Tajul Islam said that on Wednesday afternoon, the tribunal sent the arrest warrant of 30 accused in the 2 cases of IGP and 12 designated officers. The 12 officers include the Chief of Army Staff, Chief of General Staff, the Adjutant General Director, General of DGFI, Director General of NSI, Principal Staff Officer, Secretary of the Chief Advisor's Office, Director of Military Intelligence, Director of Personal Service Directorate, and Commandant of Army Security Unit, Provost Marshal, and CEO of Army MP Unit of Information. Campaigning for the upcoming election to the Russia University Central Students' Union Hall Council and student representatives of the Senate has gained momentum again after vacations. Since Sunday last, the candidates have been passing busy days, exchanging greetings with a voter and conducting door-to-door campaign. Many of them claimed to be getting spontaneous responses from the students. Chief Election Commissioner Professor F. Nazrul Islam said all short of necessary preparations have been completed and the election will be held on October 16 peacefully and successfully. Viewers, we're taking a short break. Stay with us.
Luxury in Dhaka.
Welcome back. You are watching SATV News. Now, news from abroad. Israel and Hamas agreed on Wednesday to the first phase of US President Donald Trump's plan for Gaza, a ceasefire and hostage deal that could open the way to ending a bloody two-year-old war that has unopened the Middle East. Just a day after the second anniversary of Hamas' militant cross-border attack that triggered Israel's devastating assault on Gaza. Indirect talks in Egypt yielded an agreement on the initial stage of Trump's 20 points framework to bring peace to the Palestinian enclave. The accord, if fully implemented, would bring the two sides closer than any previous effort to halt a war that had evolved into a regional conflict, drawing in centuries such as Iran, Yemen, and Lebanon deepen Israel's international isolation and reshape the Middle East. Israelis and Palestinians rejoiced on Thursday after a ceasefire and hostage deal was reached under the first phase of US President Donald Trump's plan to end a war in Gaza that has killed more than 67,000 people and reshaped the Middle East. Just a day after the second anniversary of Hamas fighter cross-border attack that has triggered Israel's devastating assault on Gaza, indirect talks in Egypt yielded on agreement on initial stage on Trump's 20-point framework to bring peace to Palestinian enclave. News on deal prompted celebration in Israel, Gaza, and beyond, with Israeli families of hostages letting off fireworks while Palestinians clapped and cheered in hope for the end of the bloodshed. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan thanked Donald Trump for encouraging Israel to accept a ceasefire and said Ankara would monitor its implementations. He also hailed Qatar and Egypt for their support in reaching the agreement, and Turkey would continue to contribute. I would like to express my gratitude sincere to US President Trump, who demonstrated the necessary political will and encourage the Israeli government towards the ceasefire. Erdogan wrote on X on Thursday, Turkey has been involved in negotiations Egypt and Trump Turkey to convince Hamas accept their proposal, Erdogan said on Wednesday. The United Nations will cut a quarter of peacekeepers in 9 operations owed around the world in coming months due to a lack of money, senior UN officials said on Wednesday, as the future funding from United States remain uncertain. Overall, we will have to repatriate around 25% our total peacekeeping troops and police, as well as their equipment, and a large number of civilian staff in mission will also be affected, said a senior UN official. Speaking on condition of the anonymity, the world amount to between 13,000 and 14,000 troops and police, the official also said. Afghanistan's Taliban foreign minister arrived in India on Thursday for the talks in aiming to foster economic ties with New Delhi, in the first such visit by a leader of the Islamist group since the seized power in 2021. The 6-day trip by Amir Khan Muttaqi highlights the Taliban's effort of spur engagement with the regional power to secure eventual diplomatic recognition. He is set to meet Indian counterpart, the Janskor, and other officials to discuss a range of political, economic, and trade matters. We look forward to engaging discussions with him on bilateral relations and regional issues, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ranthir Jaiswal said on a post on X, welcoming the minister. French President Emmanuel Macron will appoint a new prime minister in the next 48 hours, his office said on Wednesday, adding that a majority of lawmakers were against holding a parliamentary election amid France's worst crisis in decades. The Sébastien Lecornu, French fifth prime minister in the last 2 years, tendered his government registration and resignation on Monday, just hours after announcing the cabinet lineup, making it the shortest live administration on modern France. But at Macron's request, Lecornu has failed further consultation with political leaders spanning the center, left, and right effort to defuse the crisis. French President Emmanuel Macron will appoint a new prime minister in the next 48 hours. His office set on Wednesday, adding that a majority lawmakers were against holding a snap parliamentary election amid France's worst crisis in decades. The Sébastien Lecornu, French fifth prime minister in 2 years, tendered and his government resignation on Monday, just hours after announcing the cabinet lineup, making its shortest life administration in modern France. But Macron's request Lecornu has failed further consultation with political leaders spanning the center-left to center-right in an effort to defuse the crisis. Youth protester in Madagascar rejected an offer to join President Andry Rajoelina national dialogue with various groups accusing his government of repression after weeks of demonstration in an African island nation. They called for a national strike on Thursday. The protest that started the September 25 posed the biggest challenge in the Rajoelina government since his re-election in 2023, giving voice to widespread discontent over rampant poverty and high-level corruption. Rajoelina fired his cabinet last week in a bid to quell the unrest, appointing a new prime minister and announcing plan for the national dialogue that started on Wednesday afternoon. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro on Wednesday said that the latest vessel in the Caribbean bombed by the United States may have been Colombian with Colombian citizens abroad, which the White House called a baseless statement. U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday announced the latest in the series of military strikes targeting drug trafficking vessels off the coast of Venezuela. Although the Pentagon has yet to confirm any such strike occurred on Saturday, today the reality in the sister states want to isolate itself and is carrying out military aggression in the Caribbean, said the Petro of the European Union's second Global Gateway Forum on Thursday. He verified the assertion to bring Colombia into the fray of a U.S. campaign that had previously targeted Venezuelan boats. Now sports. Bangladesh are looking forward to registering its first win as it faces Hong Kong in the crucial Group C match for the AFC Asian Cup qualifier, scheduled to be held